This is Comcast Local Edition. I'm Jack Hansen. We're here in the USS Hornet. It is a floating museum in Alameda. Perhaps you've visited at one time or another. And Dr. Nicolle Zellner is with us right now. She's an astrobiologist. And we are standing in front of the command module. This module has gone around the Earth 3 times. It was used as a test mule, so to speak, before the Apollo program. Nice to have you here, Dr. Nicolle. Should I call you that?
Nicolle's fine.
Nicolle's okay.
Thank you.
Don't add the doctor all the time, right?
Right.
Okay, astrobiologist. You're interested in the relationship of the moon and the Earth?
Right. I'm interested in just trying to understand what kind of conditions existed on the early Earth in order for life to take hold. And we're actually using samples from the moon to understand the impact history on the moon and apply that to Earth to reach those conclusions.
And when we find out more about it, where will that lead us? Do we have any idea?
Yeah, if we understand what kind of impact rate occurred in the Earth-Moon system, we have a good idea of when oceans and continents were able to form. Things can't exist when Earth is very unstable or very hot. You kind of need a cool Earth in order for continents and oceans to form, and also a stable environment for life to form, for life to take hold.
Now, you did an experiment called, that I don't understand, you're going to explain to us right now, lunar glass. What is that about?
Yeah, I'm interested in studying lunar impact glasses, which are microscopic pieces of glass that were formed during impact events on the moon. So much like we get glass here on Earth by melting sand, when the regolith, which is a surface soil on the moon, gets heated to a very high temperature, it too melts into a glass. And that glass contains potassium, which is a natural radioactive decay element. You can get an age on the glass, find out how old the glass is, you know when the impact occurred.
Now, are you studying this with rocks that were brought back from the moon?
I'm actually studying soil samples. So this is actual soil that was scooped up with a shovel. It's sieved through 300 micron hold sieves, so you tap it and the powder falls through, and then you hand pick the glasses out with the tweezers and a microscope.
And Nicolle, at any point in this experiment, have you ever said to yourself, I'm actually holding sand from the moon? I mean, does that sort of sink in at some point?
It does. Every time I looked at the samples, it hit me. And
it must be thrilling.
It's very, very exciting. It's very exciting. And when people joke to me about how we didn't really go to the moon, or how it was all just a fake
some
or a
people
hoax.
don't believe it.
Some people don't believe it. I say, I wouldn't have spent 3 years of my life picking glasses out of soil with a microscope and a tweezers if it wasn't real stuff.
It better have really happened. Is that right?
Right.
Your background now, you started obviously in science. What interested you in the beginning in science?
In the very beginning, I was interested in astronomy and the stars, the constellations, the stories and the mythologies behind the stars that make up our night sky. And as I went through elementary school and high school and eventually into college, I just realized I really enjoyed math and science. I had the great opportunity at the University of Wisconsin to work at a research quality telescope and actually take data for astronomers and understand that data. And I was involved with a space shuttle mission, so I just had some really great experiences growing up along the way, and I had some really great role models. And when I was involved in the space shuttle mission, it told me to go back and try to work for NASA. So I ended up going to graduate school, where I got involved then in this new field of astrobiology.
Now, what were you doing with the space shuttle?
I was involved in the STS-67 mission, which was a telescope mission dedicated to ultraviolet astronomy. So we actually sent up ultraviolet astronomy.
UVs,
yeah, we actually sent up 3 telescopes in the payload bay, and I was part of the Wisconsin telescope team, and we observed stars and galaxies in the ultraviolet spectrum.
Well, Nicolle, you've had a great career, and I know it's going to go a long ways from here. It's great having you here.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. That's Comcast Local Edition. I'm Jack Hansen aboard the USS Hornet. Thanks for watching. This is Comcast Local Edition. I'm Jack Hansen. We're aboard the USS Hornet here in Alameda, the aircraft carrier that's now a floating museum. And Dr. Nicolle Zellner is with us right now. She's an astrobiologist. Nice to have you here again.
Hi, thank you.
A young woman getting started in space and space interest and so forth. You started just as a little girl, I imagine, right?
Right. I remember my earliest memory of being interested in space was 4th grade. We had a professor from a local college come over and talk to our class about some of the constellations in the night sky. And I was just really interested in the mythologies and the stories that he had to tell behind that. And then as I went through elementary, middle school, and high school, I just realized I had a knack for math and science, and I was either going to be an astronomer or an engineer. And when it was time for me to declare my major, the engineering guy was out for lunch and the astronomy guy was in, and so
yeah, there you go.
and so that's how I ended up in astronomy.
It's interesting to me. I bet you were unique in your interest in astronomy as a young girl. Am I right or wrong in saying that?
You're right in saying that. I grew up in a really small town in Wisconsin, and
they didn't know about the moon in Wisconsin?
No, they knew about the moon in Wisconsin. It was just, it's an agricultural area, so science and engineering just isn't really emphasized at all through the school curriculum.
Yeah, as a very bright young woman that you are now, and as a child, did you ever wonder why you were interested in that? I mean, I know you were influenced, but to be separate from all the other kids, did it make you feel different in any way?
Not really.
No?
No, it's just that was my thing. I was still involved in the band and still in the choir, and so I was still part of the school community. I just had a different talent, I guess. Yeah,
and when you looked at the moon as a young girl, did you say, someday I'm going to do experiments about the relationship of the moon and the Earth?
Never.
No.
Never. I never thought. I've been fortunate to always be in the right place at the right time and to have people looking out for me, that my career has just kind of really unfolded in a really rewarding way.
Well, being in the right place at the right time is one thing, but having the ability to take it from there is something else again.
That's true, right.
How do you see the future of space for women and their women's involvement in NASA and so forth?
I think the future is really exciting. The girls who are now coming up through middle school and high school have a lot more opportunities. They have advanced math and science classes that weren't offered even when I was younger. And there's a lot more outreach and support groups through colleges to help the girls get through the math and science courses that sometimes hinder their progress. And I think that we're going to see a lot more women in the field of science in the next 20 years or so. Have
you really thought about the relationship now between the moon and the Earth and what it means in terms of future space travel?
Since December, when President Bush came out, I think it was December or January, when he came out with his new initiative to go back to the moon, to send new generations of explorers, first starting off robotic and then hopefully human, I think it's going to be a really exciting time in space exploration.
Yeah, so we're going to pick it up again. I know there's a new program now involved where we're going to start getting back on the moon again, and then from the moon from there on, right?
Right.
Are you going to be involved in that in any way, or do you want to be involved in any way?
I would like to be involved with that. Right now, yes, I would.
Yeah, well, I know you're going to be. Nice to see you, Nicolle.
All right, thank you.
It's Comcast Local Edition. I'm Jack Hansen aboard the USS Hornet. Thanks for watching.